Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Kansept Convict. This is a collaboration with Sheepdog Knives. You can see the logo right there. It does look a lot like a lot of Sheepdog knives. It is actually named after a previous model that Sheepdog released themselves, but that was much more of a cleaver and a slightly smaller knife. As you can see, this is the very shiny and reflective Damascus version. You can see the Ferrari flag up there. Apologize about that. No, I don't own a Ferrari, just a fan of the team, so it's up there. But yeah, this is a pretty cool little knife, I do have to say. $217 for this Damascus version. That's not bad for Damascus, but the S35VN version is only $10 less, which is $9 less, which is it's kind of a bit odd. I don't know. It's just usually a big price difference between the Damascus and the S35 or whatever normal blade steel it is. Not much of a difference here, but yeah, that's kind of cool. It does come in many versions, this Damascus with the titanium, as I said, for $217. For $207.90 you can get either a plain S35VN with a blue handle or this titanium with a regular S35 VN blade, or a whole completely blacked out version. If you want to spend a bit more on the blang blang, for $297 you can get a Damascus blade, which looks like a much darker finished Damascus with what they're calling a titanium wood grain. It's just a different, heavily anodized, looks like almost like a flame anno-ish sort of kind of handle. But yeah, you can find all those different versions there. But this was provided by Kansept, so thank you very much for sending it along. I always appreciate it. I think it's a pretty snazzy looking knife. Not only the Damascus, which looks really nice. You have the gold pivot with blue standoffs, of which there are many, I will say, and the blue anodized handle. Yeah, it looks pretty Sheepdog. It does have a very unique thumb stud, which we'll talk more about. But the only thing I don't like about the looks of it, I really like the overall shape. I like the finish on the Damascus. I think it looks all right. It's not too overpowering. It's still kind of shiny and cool looking. But yeah, I don't get 4 standoffs. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Everybody gets a standoff. I don't know why you need that on a full titanium knife, which doesn't have that much milling in it. No milling in it, really. It's a pretty sturdily built knife. I think 2 would have done it. It must be an aesthetic choice. It's not on the original Convict. The original Convict was a carbon fiber liner lock, as I can tell. Maybe they made a full tie version. I don't know. But I don't know if they were just going for like a 1950s Buick look with like the portholes. I don't know. But it will make taking it apart a bit more sweary, because sometimes putting stuff back together, lining up all these is kind of a pain. I took this one apart and put it back together once just to kind of look inside of it. It was kind of a pain. It wasn't like the worst thing ever, but yeah, just trying to get everything to line up and get the pivot to line up, it was a bit fiddly for a second. Not the end of the world, but that's also more parts to lose. I don't know. It does look fine. It must have been an aesthetic choice. That's all I can think of why this knife needs 4 freaking standoffs. But yeah, overall I do like the look of it quite a bit. It is very right-handed only. You can see it's a one-sided thumb stud. It is not a reversible thumb stud because you can take it off, but that's for sharpening. The thumb stud is kind of, it's coming across here. It's kind of sunk down into the blade, so you definitely cannot switch that thumb stud. So don't bother with that. I think it's cut in for the angle of the grind. But let's do some specs and some size comparisons here. We have a blade length of 3 1/4 inches, overall length of 7.5 inches, blade thickness 0.14 inches, handle thickness fairly slim, 0.45 inches, and a weight of 4.06 ounces, which Kansept gets the golf clap. That's exactly what they claim that it weighs, and that's what it weighs on my scale. They've been very, very accurate with their specs. A fairly new company, which we'll talk more about in the conclusion. But yeah, they've been very accurate with their stats so far, so I appreciate that. Let's do some size comparisons. We'll bring out the usual Spyderco's first, as always. We have your Para 3 and Paramilitary 2. So yeah, pretty similar length to the Para 3, but a little bit bigger blade in there. We have the usual Benchmades, the 940. I always try and line up the pivots on these, if you're wondering what I'm doing in these videos when I fiddle around for a second. And the full-size Bug Out, which is also a 3 1/4 inch blade. And you can see I have almost identical length to a Bug Out, but obviously a much bulkier knife. And the new additions to the standards, the Civivis, we will bring out the Elementum and the Backlash. So you're kind of between those, a little closer to the Elementum than it is to the Backlash. So let's talk more about this knife and its individual aspects, the blade. I don't know what their Damascus is made out of. I looked around. I can't find anything. You know, usually it's a mix of a couple different metals. I don't know what it primarily is. Like I said, it's kind of odd that it doesn't cost that much more than the S35VN. But I honestly don't know what it is. I have had this for a few days. I did try and do, you know, some hack through some cardboard and things like that to get an idea of the edge retention. It seems okay. It doesn't seem like, I don't think it's M390 or anything like that, obviously. It might be S35VN with some other stuff in it. I don't really know, but, you know, it's fine. It's fine, whatever it is. I don't really have any issues with it. Fairly thick blade stock, 0.14 inches. Not at all surprising for a sheepdog or a sheep's foot blade. A lot of sheep's foot blades are pretty thick, and a lot of sheepdog knives have fairly thick, robust blades. It's only about 18 thousandths behind the edge, so that's not bad at all. Edge out of the box was sharp enough. Wasn't mind-blowingly awesome, sharp, crazy sharp, but it was fine. Yeah, and this thumb stud, it does get in the way a little bit here and there, but nothing dramatic. Nothing I'm really going to have a fit about. They did use this kind of, you know, rectangular thumb stud instead of a normal conventional round one. It does remove for sharpening, which is nice. So when I do sharpen this up, I will pop that off, and that's a great option to have. I do like that, but it doesn't really get in the way in daily use, but I can see where somebody might be annoyed by it. It doesn't really bother me that much, but it is there. As far as the ergonomics go, really, really good. It does kind of almost feel like it should have a forward finger choil a little bit, but not really. You do get to choke up pretty far there. Pocket clip is not at all obtrusive. It is a milled clip, which sometimes, you know, cause more hot spots than other ones, but it's kind of that unique sort of milled, springy hybrid clip, I guess you would call it. But yeah, it doesn't really bother me. If you really, really squeeze, maybe I can kind of feel that tip a little bit, but I'm totally nitpicking if I complain about that. As far as the carry goes, the pocket clip also works very well in that. You can see there is a good amount of room there. So normal jeans and EO Levi's does slide in and out really well. The tension on it is excellent. A little bit sticking out. Nothing dramatic. And at least in this version, pretty subdued colors. And I think this is actually the loudest of them. I think the other ones would be even more subdued in the pocket than this is if you're worrying about that kind of stuff. Plenty of room to get your hand past. It's a fairly tall knife, but it's not insanely so. Not enough to really bother me at all. And there's no flipper tab or anything to grab a hold of you. Action-wise is excellent. Kansept is... They were good when they started a couple years ago. Or maybe it was only a year and a half ago. I don't know. Times blended together. I'm not really sure, but very smooth and drop shutty out of the box. D10 is perfect. This square thumb or rectangular thumb stud, you might not like the look of it. You might not like that it can slightly get in the edge of the cutting path, but as far as just usage, it is excellent. Like I said, I have carried this for a few days because I wanted to, since I don't know what that steel is, I wanted to use it a little bit. But yeah, not too bad at all. I really do like the action on this. It's so drop shutty. Fairly short blade, but again, fairly thick blade stock, so it's got some weight behind it, and it does drop shut and all that stuff very well. So what are my conclusions on this? I've always liked sheepdog stuff. I've had a lot of the Kaiser mini sheepdogs and the Kaiser Sheepdog XL. It is interesting that this is a sheepdog from Kansept and not Kaiser. I don't know if that's going to be a regular thing going forward. Kind of seems like it maybe, because sheepdog used to always work with Kaiser. If you don't know background of Kansept, it is a lot of people that used to work at Kaiser. And you know, they're obviously made in the same factory, same boxes and everything. But it always seems like the Kansept so far are just a little bit better. As far as like detent and fit and finish and stuff, just a tiny bit better. And I think it is very noticeable on this knife, especially. And maybe that's what Sheepdog's going to work with going forward. I don't know. But overall, I think it's pretty cool. What are the downsides? That thumb stud, if you're going to be someone who gets really upset about stuff getting in the cutting path. Again, I think for EDC kind of tasks, it's not something that really happens a lot. I don't understand all the thumb studs. And the price isn't amazing. $217 for Damascus is pretty good. This one, I think the price is pretty good. $207.90 for the regular one on the S35. Yeah, it's probably pushing it a little bit. But, and again, I don't know what this Damascus is made out of. Maybe it's made out of garbage. But it doesn't seem to be. It seems to perform well enough. Again, I tried to cut through a lot of cardboard and stuff like that because it wears a blade down pretty quick. I tried to cut through a lot of cardboard and stuff, and the edge retention seems completely fine. But, you know, again, just because I don't know exactly what it's made out of, I have to bring that up. But overall, I think it's a really good-looking design. Absolutely, for sure. And, yeah, and I like Sheepdog stuff. It'll be interesting to see if we see more Kansept Sheepdogs or more Kaiser Sheepdogs or both coming up. Who knows? So, hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.